Hi, I'm Deborah. I'll be your host in this quilt-along series called Quilts Within a Quilt. Each block is going to be 18 inches large. There'll be no eye-seams, but we'll have some stars. They're back quarter friendly. Backings can be different or all the same. I do recommend cotton batting, but you can use poly. Our first block is the Flying Geese, so let's get started. Flying Geese block are twice as long as they are tall, so they're only half as tall as they are wide. We're doing a 4x8, so we're going to start with, we need two blocks that are 9 1/4 inches. So I'm going to give my guy a haircut here, because he's been sitting a while and played with but not used. Remember, hold your ruler with your fingertips, apply pressure, palms slide. Just a little tip for beginners who don't know that, maybe. I saw on a blog people were asking what's the best way to cut, or they were looking for cutting tips. Okay, so we need 9 1/2 inches. Yep, I want to go this way. Oh, 9 1/4, my bad, 9 1/4, 9 1/4. This one. 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 1/4. I'm going to turn my mat, not my fabric. It stays straighter this way. Nine 1/4. Okay, take your time at looking at your lines. That I think it's really important when you're cutting. Don't be in a hurry to cut. This is where it all starts, and basically it's all where it ends up on how wonky or how nice and straight your quilt is. 9 1/4. Why do I feel like that's wrong? 1, okay, 9, because of this, that's why. My numbers reverse on one side compared to the other. Okay. I'm going to open this up. Done with this. Put that over there. I'm going to trim my salvages off. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm not using my mat. I'm only using my ruler. It's part of your power cutting is using your ruler only. Line up your lines. I should have 9 1/4. I want to go in a little bit farther than that. 9 1/4, 9 1/4. And we're on a straight line down here. Okay. Come on. Come on off of there. There we go. And then again, flip your mat. And go 9 1/4 in. So now you're going to line up. I would line up here, nice and straight. Your 1/4 inch down here, because it's easier to see your marks when they're right under you. So I should go on my 1/4 inch marks here and there, and then we have a nice 9 inch square. There's that one little thread, just doesn't want to go, does it? There we go. Okay, this we'll save for later. I'll put that with that. I can go in something else. So we have those two. For color A, you will need 4 squares. Color A and color B both are going to be 4 7/8 inches. Yeah, 4 7/8 inches. Oh, I need that open. So here, I want to show you. It doesn't matter where you cut or how you cut, and this is probably better anyway because I've got grooves in my mat. The mat is a guide for certain things, but not for cutting. It shouldn't really be used for cutting your main blocks. Big mats are wonderful, at least I used to think they were, because I would have my fabric folded all the way out, and yeah, long rulers, big mats. Don't care for them really. All right, flip our ruler around, and I said 4 7/8. 4 7/8. I actually have to go in this way. Measure up there. It should be your last line just before the 5. Yeah, see, my mat is getting old. It's very old. It's 23 years old. It's the first mat I ever bought. My friend Angie got me into quilting, and this is what I had money for, and I loved all the little shapes on it. I've seen June Taylor mats, but I haven't found another one like this. They're all just pretty much purple with a couple of lines, your diagonals, but if anybody knows where to get another one of these, let me know. Alright, so we also need, just getting the bigger cutting out of the way. I shouldn't have moved that really, but it's okay. We lose track of things, and we're still on the straight and narrow though. I get sidetracked easily. So give your guy a haircut. Even if it's been sitting for a while and you know you made a nice straight cut, you should always just give it a tiny bit of, the tiniest bit of a haircut, just to make sure everything is good and square. Flip our mat again. And we're going for 4 7/8. 4 7/8. There. Looking good. Just a little tag there. Okay, so now, because my ends are all wonky, I could open this up, cut them one by one, cut the salvage off. Or you can readjust, just do some really good lining. Readjust, smooth it out. You can even add this guy. Make sure everything is lined up really nice. Okay, I think everything looks good. Trim and square your ends. It's my cheater sheet. There's specialty rulers out there. That was on my cheater sheet I wanted to talk about too. There's cheater rulers out here for flying geese. My mom has some. They're pretty cool. I haven't got a chance to use them, but I have a square ruler, I have a couple of long rulers, I have a 45-degree ruler and a 60-degree ruler. That's all I have. You don't need anything fancy to do a lot of your quilt blocks. If you can afford and you'd like to buy and you have the space to store, go right ahead and buy them fancy rulers. They actually help a lot of people. Okay, so 4 and 7 ace we need. 4, oh, turn the mat. Deborah Jean, turn the mat. So we'll need 2 cuts. Four, nope. 4 and 7 ace. There. I'm going to go up one more line. 4 and 7 ace. Very good. Yeah, rulers are just a personal preference. Just remember, everything can be done with a standard ruler. Pardon me. Life can be made easier with specialty rulers. Depends on what technique that you care for. 4 and 7 ace. Consistency is probably your best friend in quilting, though. As long as you're doing stuff the same all the time, your results should come out pretty good. Okay, so there is our 4 blocks. Okay, so apparently I bumped something or did something, and sorry about the camera change angle. So what we're doing with our little squares, we're draw a diagonal from one end to the other. Pencil, a pen. My favorite is the friction ink pen. I don't remember if I said that in the other section. This is erasable with heat. It says it's erasable if you write with it, so I'm not sure. That makes sense though, but so draw a diagonal line down everything. Be pretty precise about this. And just keep on chucking. I'm not good. Remember, take a tiny bit of time where you need it. No need to be in a rush. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a 25 block series. The blocks are 18 inches big, that I know I did mention. So it'll come together quite quickly. It's the joy of a large block. Does anybody know my favorite prints or colors that I like to quilt with? Besides Mom. Mom knows. Comment and tell me what your favorite colors are. And take a guess at what mine are. It's nice to hear comments and such. And our last one. I'm not even going to use that line. I'm just going to turn it because I went off my corner. And it'll erase when I iron my, when I set my seams, so I'm not worried about it. Okay. Okay, now that our blocks are all marked, we're going to set up and get ready to sew. We're going to line these up in the corners with about a 1/16 of an inch or so, just a smidgen of, you see that, how it's not 100% lined up in the corner, just a smidgen off. I find that works the best. And then you're going to overlap another one. Oh, I forgot. So you're using the same colors. And then line these guys up here. Same way, leave a little bit of an overhang. I'm going to turn around so I can see what I'm doing. I think this is a good place to pin, actually, just one, because things like to shift while you're sewing and it's not going to stay up there. And then this one. Okay. Mirror pin. And then just give this a little bit of a stick. And then we do the same thing to the other side. Put 2 of our squares away from our other color. Not away, but to the side. Line up there. Stick a pin in. Flip it around. Do the other side. Remember to leave just a tad bit. Our diagonal lines match up right there, straight across. And now we're going to sew 1/4 of an inch down each side. This is our center mark. We're not sewing on the line, we're going to sew down. That's our sewing guideline. Okay, I also decided to put a pin in the center here where they come together because it was flip-flopping around. And I also like to sew with your tail and your doggy ear for the first direction. So that's facing towards you. Alright. 1/4 of an inch. This is going to go on the outside of our 1/4 inch quilting foot. And just sew straight on down. No pushing, no shoving. Play nice on the sewing machine. Whoops. Sorry if I bumped the camera there. You're just guiding it. Take 1, 2, another one. I know it's caught. Take your needles out before you get to your needle or your machine needle, and keep on trucking. This one can come out. I'll truck on down the line here. And our next one. Remove needle, pin, needle, sticker, poker. slowing down, coming up to this point here. Okay. This one doesn't need to be so long. The reason why I like thread catchers, they remind me to trim my threads so I don't have to go back and do it later. They actually save you thread. They save your corners from going down into the machine. And let's see. So we're going to trim this one off. I'm just trimming off the thread catcher from the beginning. And I'm going to flip it around and sew from the other side. Go up one side, down the other. It's general rule of thumb. Okay, so because I got weight here, I want to put it up on my table. Not that you can see that. Don't leave it hang off your table. It's not that much to put up there. If you can support the weight of your fabric so it's not pulling and your threads aren't, your stitches aren't biting, you'll get a much better stitch, a straighter stitch. That includes in the back too. When you get to very large pieces, you want to try to keep it all supported. Actually, I don't feel comfortable with how close that is, so I'm going to give that a snip. Done. Whoa. Make sure nothing's tucked under. You'll be sad and picking threads. I know that from experience. Okay, I'm going to trim these two apart. And move the camera. Okay, now that we have our blocks sewn down 1/4 inch each side, our line that we actually drew, we're going to trim it. You can use a rotary cutter. Move this block out of the way. Don't want no accidental mishaps. You use a rotary cutter, or you can use the scissors and trim down that line. This doesn't have to be totally perfect, but you want it nice so that it'll lay nice. That's one set, and the other set. I don't have a little, be nice, I gotta get a little cutting board for the table here. Until then, things that can be done with the scissors will be done with scissors. Yay, okay. So now we're going to iron, set our seams and iron these open. Okay, we're going to set our seams. Setting the seams just means pressing while it's shut. I'm going to actually blast mine with some starch again. I'm a starchaholic, especially on bias cuts. And then you're going to press this open. I like to finger press a little bit on these kind. On a normal square I usually don't. Let the iron do the work. Have a little string there. And see how that's not coming. So we'll trim that. You want to press this open. You should actually take your time and iron. We should technically leave this here and sit here until it's completely cool, because fabric has a memory of its last cooled position. And I'm just going to lay it flat over here while we work on these. Again, a little more starch. I'm more concerned about those little guys than I am the bigger ones. But he gets some starch too, so. All about keeping the fabric in check. Remember to press, not iron. Can't stress that enough. Okay, that's a braid. Put you over here. And two more. When you press, it's about picking up your iron. When you get used to it, you're not going to be exaggerating and going down. You get to the minimal amount of moving your iron off of your fabric before you slide. And one last one. And we'll press this open. You can finger press, like I said, but if you're going to finger press, press on a nice hard surface like a table, your sewing table or a regular table. So now that this is pressed open, we are going to add our next block. Oh, that's the wrong color. So we're going to set up all our blocks like this. Same way, leave a little bit of a 1/16 of an inch or so there, and you're going to have this tail hanging off there. That's normal. You're not doing anything wrong. That is proper. Next comes one of these guys. Oh, did I show you even? I don't think I showed you. Which one was it on? You can't tell. Oh, it's right here. There's just a tad bit left of that pen. And now it's completely gone. I was kind of excited that I made that mistake so I could show you that pen, but I forgot all about it. Excuse me, Mater. The dog's rolling my chair around. It's pulling me away from the ironing board. Silly guy. And another one. Oh, no. Just a tiny bit. There we go. And one last one. Oops. Over. You don't have to starch. I was going to tell you that too. You don't have to starch like I do. I just prefer to. I think it gives you better control, like I said. And you can use any kind of starch you want. There's several out there. I just buy the cheap stuff. Okay, so we're going to sew these, again, 1/4 of an inch on each side of the line. Back to our machine. Okay, so we're sewing again down the 1/4 inch seam. And again, you can production sew on this one. When you're sewing, practice a little bit. If you have a brand new machine, never used it before, get a feel for it. Just run some straight stitches. Even play with your decorative stitches, see what they do. Sew a couple of scraps together. But find a speed you're comfortable at sewing. You don't necessarily want a speed demon, but I also find trying to go slow is difficult too, to keep a straight line. Over there so it doesn't fall on the floor. Mater, please don't bump the camera. Many of you have fur babies that love to help in some way, shape, or form. I used to have a cat who insisted, and he was really good. He never jumped on the table. until I was sewing. He wanted to help me sew. I actually have a video of him somewhere on Facebook, I think, or a picture. And so now we're going to go down the other side. And remember, put your weight up on your table, not leave it hang off. Yeah, or they're underfoot. They like to be underfoot. The animals do. You'll hear a change of sound when you're going over your seams. Let me just straighten this guy out. And this last one. Come on, geese, fly straight here. Sit up and fly straight. I'm going to trim my other thread saver off. Later, buddy. Cool down, bud. All right. And let's turn the camera down. Pardon me. So we're gonna trim our chains carefully. You don't want to snip your corners. And again. And my thread catcher off of this one. Okay, and again, once again, we're going to snip right up the snip or rotary cut right up the our marked line, up the diagonal line. I can't find the on screen where I need to be. That's terrible. It's up there, apparently. It's way up there. Everything's backwards when you're looking at yourself on the computer. Trying to make sure you stay in screen. All this techie stuff. It's been a wonderful challenge, let me tell you. Learning great things. So making a lot of mistakes, but you know, that's how you learn. Same thing with quilting. Anything you do. Make mistakes, learn, and keep going. Don't give up. And another one. Anybody know what comes after this? You guessed it. Set your seams, press them open. Don't be in a hurry and just press them open. Set your seams. It makes a world of a difference when you're opening them. You might not think so, but as you become experienced, you'll learn that is very true. Okay, so now we'll set them open. Okay, real quick before I start ironing. Does anybody remember Grandma's lint brush? It was big and poofy, and it sort of looked like this, but it was nice and poofy. Much better than these. I haven't been able to find a poofy one. Pet section at Walmart, I heard. They're not any better than this. And Dollar Tree. But they're directional. They work wonderful. And how do you sit and get the stuff off of your lint brush? A lot of people say, well, you could rub it on your pants. Well, now you just, you go backwards, right? This is, do you see this guy? He's all full of stuff. This is just a piece of poly batting. Just a scrap. And, yeah, I just go backwards, and it works so much faster than trying to pick it off. So there's just a little handy tip for you. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, me and my starch. Me and my starch. Press, press. Press, press. Open sesame. I know I'm not doing it the same and not finger pressing it. We do that. We change things. Whoa, that was a little bit much. It's okay. Life happens. I should have been spraying with my left hand. I'm not left-handed. So, as you can see, I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but we're left with our 1/4 inch up there where your points come beautifully together. Doing it this method. We haven't trimmed any extra corners off. And that's the one thing that bothered me about the traditional way of doing flying geese, is the corners that you cut off. Okay, we have scrap bins, but when you're doing the little guys, so, I mean, that's a pretty little corner, you know, if you're doing something, and I don't care for that. I try to sew with minimal waste, and because I have a minimal machine compared to a lot. Some people have some beautiful machines. There's beautiful machines out there. My machine's beautiful. I get what I call the disposable machines because, and nothing bad against Brother, I just put so many miles on them that when they break down, I go get a new one. So it's usually every, let me see, every 3 to 5 years I end up getting a new machine. You put a ton of miles on your machine. Like, so it doesn't matter how much you oil it, or, well, I don't know why I did that. We're going to set that one aside. I don't want to get all that starch on my iron like that. Yeah, you put a many mile on your machine, and to me, for what it would cost to bring, you know, my $200 machine, back in the day it was a $169 machine, $150 machine, and now it's basically a $200 machine, into the shop. Well, I can buy a new one, and I appreciate all them machine repairs, because, you know, my mom's got some beautiful machines, and they've saved her quite a bit. And yeah, I think it'd be a great job. I just don't see the sense of with what I call a disposable machine. They do the job, and that's all that counts to me. All you really need for quilting is a simple straight stitch machine. That's all. You don't need anything super fancy. The fancy stitches, oh, what did I do there? I'm making a mess. The fancy stitches are pretty. The decorative stitches and the utility stitches can be quite helpful depending on what you're doing. But there's not necessarily a need for it. And the one that we starched on both sides. And I did it again. I wasn't paying attention. Okay. So now we get to put our blocks together. Well, we're going to trim our doggy ears first. So, let's see. And grab this. Excuse me in front of the camera there. I'm going to trim our puppy ears off. My little thread bin. Good for stuffing some of the scraps I use for my thread catchers, the bigger ones. You can use a rotary cutter to trim these, or you can trim them with the scissors. I find it's better though to trim them now. Get them out of your way. This is also a good time to clean up any threads. If you don't use a thread catcher, trim all your extras. Get that out of the way. Okay. And next, come on off of there. Trim and trim. What do you like to do while you're quilting? And it's quiet. Sometimes I enjoy the quiet. I end up singing a lot to myself. And you don't want me to sing. I'm pretty crazy bad. Now we're going to start putting these together. I'm not going to square them up. Generally, oh, that ruler. There's a couple rulers. Is it wing clipper ruler? I want to say is by Deb Tucker. That one looks pretty cool. Then there's some different other flying case rulers. They're slipping my mind now. But there's some pretty neat ones. And that wing clipper one will actually square up your block and everything. But because I'm kind of doing what we're doing is kind of unconventional way of quilting, I'm not worried about it. Unless they look so far off, then we put them up on the cutting mat and fix them. Okay, shut the iron off. We don't need it right now. Okay, and back to the machine we go.